Hello, everybody, and welcome to Late Night Football's match reaction show. It's finished Manchester United nil, Manchester City nil, and as the headline says, I think the only talking point, minor talking point in this game was the VAR call. Really, actually, very well played, very good spirited game. But this one, Manchester United, Manchester City in the derby. Just the one yellow card for Harry Maguire. Only 2 minutes of stoppage time at the end of the game. That tells a story in itself, isn't it? There was absolutely very little that happened in that game as a whole. But we'll start. I mean, it's interesting. It was an interesting start to the game, and it was an interesting selection because I had kind of predicted with Manchester City that he was probably going to go with Fernandinho and Rodri, and I wasn't sure if he was, but he did. He did go into it. So he decided to go with Fernandinho and Rodri, and I thought that was a mistake. I thought that probably might have cost City the chance to get 3 points because once, even though they nullified United's attack, I don't think United created as much where they needed both of them to play. And it's hindsight's 2020. Maybe if one of them had played, maybe United would have had more space to operate. Maybe not. But just United didn't look like the attacking threat that you need to have two CDMs playing together. But I mean, that's Pep Guardiola's version of parking the bus in certain terms. He also played Riyad Mahrez, which I thought was a mistake again, and I think that again was proven right as well. I don't think he had a very good game. He had that one chance, which probably if it fallen to Ferran Torres, he probably would have scored it. If it had probably fallen to maybe Foden or Bernardo Silva, maybe they would have made something of it. But I mean, Mahrez just he couldn't make it happen in that, and I think that was a mistake as well. But it was interesting to note as well was that Sterling and Jesus were switching. Sometimes Sterling would play as a center forward, sometimes Jesus would play as a center forward. That was, I think, a very shrewd tactic because it meant that the fullbacks and the two center halves kind of like guessing like who's marking whom, who's actually on the wing, who's actually in the center, and that was interesting. But United, we have to make a special mention, I think, and talk about their team selections because I was actually genuinely surprised with the fact that he went with Paul Pogba and he played what looked to me like a diamond at times. I think it was a diamond that then became a 4-4-1-1 essentially. So Bruno always stayed in that center, and he was either be the false nine. Basically he was the number 10. And I think when they were in possession, they would try to play Rashford and Greenwood were basically playing as the two center forwards, but then out of possession, I think Pogba would then drift out to the left and make it, and Greenwood would come out to the right. So awesome, automatically become like a 4-4-1-1, 4-4-2, whichever one you want to pick that out. So and that was very forward thinking. I think that was a very positive selection. I wasn't expecting it, but he made that positive selection. I would have probably started Donny van de Beek, but I don't think Pogba had a bad game. He had a few very good touches. He probably should have scored as well. There was a chance that if he had connected well, he might have got that goal. But overall, I thought he had a pretty decent game. I think the key point was the back four, and today what we saw is if you let your fullbacks be fullbacks and don't try to turn them into third and fourth center halves in the middle, they actually do a pretty good job. I don't think Shaw was. I think Shaw had a few nervy moments against Ferran. I think he was pretty good though. I think wan-Bissaka was also very good. But because they were left to be wide men, because they were marking wide players, they actually looked pretty good. They look pretty good today. You're never going to get too much of an attacking output from those two, but I don't think that was the idea anyway today. But defensively they were very, very solid because they were allowed to mark the wingers, that rather than trying to be sucked in and trying to protect the two center halves. So that, I thought a lot of things Solskjaer got right today, and unfortunately he got it one game late. If he had done it against Leipzig, they would have got a point and they would have qualified for the Champions League knockout stages. But better late than never in some cases, I think. But it was interesting as well, and there are lots of things to talk about. But well, actually, there are not a lot of things to talk about. It's actually been a very uneventful game. But what was interesting as well was I think the well, I'm losing my words here. But what was interesting was the fact how City basically decided today that, and again, this is kind of what Lampard did as well. I think basically coming into this game saying, whatever happens, I'm not going to lose to this Manchester United team. Lampard did it as well. He parked the bus when he played the Kovacic and Kante. And then City did the same thing today. They played Rodri and Fernandinho. And it looks like that will be a trend that will keep going. For big teams, they're probably going to say, you know what, let's try and park the bus because if you can stop United from scoring, and it's pretty easy to stop United from scoring, to be honest. But if you use two of these CDMs, you practically stop United from scoring, unless the defense makes a massive cock up. But other than that, you're pretty much guaranteed. What that then, however, does is you then have to hope that the United defense has an off day, which is not too much of a stretch, and then you can probably get at them. But as Chelsea found out, they couldn't do it. City today couldn't do it. Arsenal got lucky because Pogba gave away a penalty, so they kind of got into it. But I mean, United didn't look. A lot of people will credit our defense for a clean sheet. I thought Maguire looked good. Again, when he was defending, he looked very good. When he had the ball, it was almost like it was a grenade or something for him, because it was like he could. It was almost at times it was weird with Maguire, because at times he couldn't wait to get rid of it. Other times he was like, I don't know what to do with this. Like, what is this? What is this apparatus that is near my leg? Sometimes you feel like that with Maguire. And then other times it was like he needed a lot of time to think and decide what he wanted to do. So I thought all four defenders were guilty all four defenders were guilty at times of sort of dwelling on the ball too much. I think that was a problem. But then you kind of expect that, because City were kind of harassing and hounding them from the front, and then there were players trying to come from the back. So you kind of understand it. But in the game, it gets into your heart, doesn't it? It gets into your heart when you see that as a defender. So I was a little bit annoyed with that at times. I also felt that too many times United were trying to play out from the back. Maybe a few more times they could have had the long ball. I think only once De Gea tried the long ball to Martial, which didn't produce the worst of results. And I think maybe because they didn't have Martial, for the first 60 minutes or 70 minutes, they didn't want to try it with Rashford, but I think they should have. And I think with Martial, they definitely should have tried it more than the one time that they tried, because maybe there was an avenue. Because trying to play out from the back, it was just asking for trouble with Maguire struggling, and then Lindelof was like trying to figure out what to do. And then oftentimes they just play to wan-Bissaka, and wan-Bissaka would just hoof it along the width, or they pass it to Shaw, and Shaw would hoof it anyway. So it didn't really make a difference. Just try and hoof it from the front and see if Martial can do something with it. I thought Bruno had a pretty bad game. I thought both De Bruyne and Bruno had pretty quiet games, not bad games, quiet games. It looked they didn't look so good today, but I mean the space was at a premium. Wherever it was quite quick closing down. City had some very good chances, and we're going to talk about that. I think Sterling had a good one. Where I really thought that this was the moment Sterling was going to score, because he got away from wan-Bissaka. He got away. I think it was Lindelof. He got away from Lindelof, and he pretty much made De Gea a spectator, because if that goal, with when he took that shot and was blocked, I think it was blocked by Maguire, who blocked it. If Maguire was not there to block it, that was a goal. So he had taken out De Gea from the equation, he had taken out Lindelof from the equation, and he had taken out wan-Bissaka. So wan-Bissaka and De Gea are probably his two nemesis in that United team. So he took them both out of the equation. So he's like, okay, that's it, I'm gonna score. And then Maguire comes in and makes the block. And then he doesn't let him score. So that was a good chance. And there was the other one for Mahrez, which I touched upon. If that had fallen to Ferran, that probably was a goal. And then Mahrez just, I don't know, maybe there's some confidence issue. He scored a recent hat trick against Burnley, but it just feels like in these big games, in these, there's a bit of a confidence issue. He rushes at shots. And they took him off anyway, but I didn't think that was a selection that merited. But anyway, maybe Pep knows more than I do. So that was one. There was another one, and in between those two, there was a chance for De Bruyne. For Gabriel Jesus, where he was through on goal. Again, the long ball over the top. City didn't try that very often. I thought they should have tried that quite often as well. Like, I mean, there's always a reluctance, isn't it, from certain teams to try to play the ball over the top, but sometimes it works. And it worked that time, and Jesus he didn't get a clear connection, so he ballooned it over. I think in the second half, I can't remember any clear chances. There was a free kick that was there. I really can't think of too many chances, but for either teams, to be honest, I really can't think of any chances that were created by either team where you went, that they should have scored that. I can't think of anything. Maybe there might have been a couple of scruffy shots and things like that. I mean, there was a Rodri shot right at the end, which they had kind of just gathered. And there was the offside call for Gabriel Jesus, but I can't think of much in that second half. I think it was just two teams cancelling each other out in that second half. The VAR call. And again, this is why VAR is there. I mean, City, a lot of fans will be like, VAR is ruining the game, but there will be quite a few City fans today saying, you know what, it saved us, because that was a clear-cut penalty. I don't think there's any question that was a penalty. That was a penalty, and the only thing that stopped it was the VAR call. But it would have been funny if City United had won against City with a penalty. I think we've kind of spared ourselves from that a little bit today, because otherwise that's what people will be talking about, or another penalty to United, which would have been completely legit, but it was a legit penalty. But I think VAR saved City that, and they can come away with the point. Um, I mean, in terms of players, I mean, in terms of City, it was interesting that he started with John Stones as well. And again, credit to Pep, John Stones has played well, so you keep the faith with him and you let him play in this big game. Um, I, me, the pragmatist, I would have started Laporte, but that's why Pep is where he is, and I am where I am. I'm in front of a laptop. He's on the field out there. He made that call, and I think it was a call that was vindicated. I don't think the defense had much to do, but whatever they had to do, they kind of managed it. The one area of concern and the one area that United could have exploited, which they didn't exploit, was corners. I think there was the two best chances that United had in the game both came from corners. Which was the McTominay chance where he kind of slid over the ball and the ball went out, and the Maguire header that he had. I think even Lindelof won a header, so that didn't go anywhere, but he won a header. So United had chances. They didn't get a lot of corners in the second half, so they couldn't put more pressure. But that was one area of concern. But other than that, I think City just looked very, very solid defensively. I think it helped that they had two players in front of them who could protect that defense, which I don't think they needed it, but they had it. So they looked very, very good today, and it was a good performance defensively from City. Even offensively, I think City dominated the game. I think City were the better team overall in the balanced play. I know some people will say United had the more shots or better possession, but I mean overall, even in that first half, I thought City were the better team. The tweet is out. I tweeted about this. City were the better team. I think over the course, I think City will be disappointed that they didn't get the 3 points today because they had chances to win it. Um, United will be happy with the point. It looks like they played to get the point and hope that they could get something for three. But again, the key pattern is that United in the 3 games in the 2 games that they won in the league last season, it was always about a fast start and getting an early goal in the first half and then forcing City to sort of come out and to create spaces for them to attack or force them. Today, City basically came with the game plan that they're not going to let United do that. So it worked for them, and it didn't work out for United. So, but overall, I think the way that the team was set up, United, I think they wanted a point and they got it. So so in that sense, in the sense of the match summary, I think it was a point earned for United. It was 2 drop for City, and you'll expect Manchester City to beat Manchester United. Though to be honest, I think I mean if City don't win it, it will always feel like 2 points dropped for City if they don't beat Manchester United. So in that sense, in the broader narrative, I think that makes sense. The match for me, I think the player. I mean, a lot of people are talking about the fullbacks. I think they were pretty good. But I would pick my pick would be between McTominay or Fred. I think one of those. You give it to both of them. You could give it to one of them. I thought both of them were excellent. Fred, for he was carrying that little injury as well, but he was everywhere. He was covering every blade of the grass. He was always available for a pass when he needed to be, and he made some good tackles. I thought McTominay, he always catches my eye because I like him as a player. So sometimes it's a bias, but today, I think he made one error that was I think there was a point where he kind of shepherded the ball. I don't know what he's trying to do with it, and then he just let it run out for a throw in. He didn't even try it, and I was mad at him. And then the ball came back, and he made a tackle, and it went for a corner. And I was like, if the goal goes from this corner, that's your fault. Thankfully, there was no goal from that corner. But I think apart from that, he was pretty tidy in possession. There were a few times actually when he was trying to play forward passes, which is always held against him for whatever reason. But he was trying to play forward passes. He actually got out of a couple of tight situations as well. A dribble pass. He uh, made the fouls when he needed to. He was very, very clever, and he made a few tackles as well. He actually won the ball as well. So I thought overall United defensively had a good game, and then you could pick any one of that back six. The two midfielders and the four at the back. You could pick any one of them and pick them as a man of the match for Manchester United. Because they all played well. The only reason why I don't pick in the back foot is because they gave me heart attacks every time they were on the ball because I was just waiting for someone to do something stupid. Whereas Fred and McTominay never gave me that impression that they were going to make an error. Although they could have made it, but they didn't. So just for that reason, I think you can pick one of them. I think that would be a man of the match. But overall, it's a pretty boring game, and I think the big winners will be Liverpool, Chelsea, and Spurs. I think they will be the big winners because City were kind of threatening to get on a run. Both the two teams were kind of threatening to get on a run and get into that conversation. But I think this draw will now help the other 3 teams kind of build a bit of a gap if they win their games. We're going to watch Chelsea against Everton. That's the one I'm going to be doing next, and so we'll see what happens there. But yeah, you kind of feel that it's a point that it's a point that Chelsea, Liverpool, and Spurs will be happy that neither team beat the other. Um, I think it's also a point in some ways. Maybe it kind of ends City's conversations for the title. I don't know. And that's something to answer. I mean, there's still Liverpool are yet to play Spurs, so one of those teams will drop the points there. And then you still got Chelsea against City to come, so there might be some points to be earned there as well. But overall. I mean, yeah, United have now played. The thing for United though, and this is going to be critical, is the fact that that they have now played City, Chelsea, Spurs, and Arsenal all at home, and they've only picked up 2 points, right? Yeah, 2 points from those 4 games, and that could come back to bite them, particularly in that second half of the season. If they lose those games, that could come back to bite them, that they only picked up 2 points, because Solskjaer usually does very well against the top six. His record against the top six is what actually helped him get Champions League football last season. So he's not going to have that this season, that record to fall back on. So that's the key. But I mean, it's probably evolution. It's teams wisening up to his tactics, and that's now he's got to adapt. He's got to find ways around it. I know a few people will be upset that Donny Van de Beek didn't play today, and you have every right to be. I was pretty surprised when he didn't play, but Pogba did well, and he played well today. You can't really take that away from him. He played well. He did his job, what he needed to do. He was pretty good, covering between the left flank and left center midfield. He did a good job. He wasn't eye catching in any way. Like, it was not a 10 out of 10 performance. It was an average 7 out of 10 performance that you would give, a 6.5, 7 out of 10 performance. So he did his job. I don't think Donny Van de Beek would have done it better. I mean, he might have, but I mean, you can't really fault that. So and you in this sort of game, you can't start both Pogba and Van de Beek and then also Bruno in front. You can't start all three of them, because that's, and you're asking for trouble. I know some people would want that, but we don't have the CDM right now to be able to play all of them together in a diamond formation. You're basically asking yourself for trouble if you do that. So I think for that reason, it works. It worked today, so you can't really fault Ole Gunnar Solskjaer for that. I mean, personal bias aside, you can't really fault him for that. If he had lost, you could have faulted him for that, but they didn't. They didn't. I think he did his job today, so that's fine. But anyway, it finishes Manchester City nil. Manchester United nil, Manchester City nil. A point earned for Manchester United, just based on what we know about the team, which is the fact that they're shit. And the point and 2 points dropped for Manchester City, just because most of us probably had them as favorites to win the game. So for them, that they'll probably be disappointed, and they had the better chances to win as well. But thank you for watching. Please smash a like if you enjoyed the reactions and the analysis, and please also subscribe to the channel if you're new. We want to try and get to 130 subscribers if we can. We appreciate your support in helping this channel grow, and we really want to keep producing this kind of engaging content and this sort of entertaining content. I'm losing words here, and your support really helps us. And when you subscribe, that really helps us. So please do subscribe to the channel. Thank you so much. Have a good day or night, whatever time you're watching this. I'll be back again with the Everton Chelsea review. So I'll see you again in a bit. But if this is all your football for today, then enjoy the rest of your weekend, and see you again soon. Bye bye.